Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foil Fox, and I am back on the Paper Tray Ink YouTube channel sharing an ink to paper collection stamp and die set. It is brand new, there are new releases out, and it has some wonderful things in it. This is just one of them. It's called Dear Friend, and it has this delicate kind of sweeping branch and these leaves and some wonderful sentiments to go with it. And of course, as always, there are some really nice dies that match up to these stamps. And then another one that we're going to be introducing is a brand new Feathered Friends die set, this wonderful bird. And then I'm also going to be using the diagonal frames that was featured last release. So let's get started. I'm going to start out with a piece of Bristol paper, and I'm going to be stamping some of these branches. I want to create kind of a tree kind of background for this bird to sit upon. And so I'm starting out with ripe avocado, and I'm going to stamp this just a couple of times. And then I'll also be using New Leaf and Aqua Mist for these branches. So this is just creating kind of the bones of the background, kind of just getting down the fundamentals. So this one is with the New Leaf. And then I'm going to stamp one more with Aqua Mist. I really like these color combinations. They work out so nicely and are so complementary. With these all, the branches all stamped, I'm going to go on to stamping the leaves, and I'm going to be using the large leaf to begin with, and I'm going to stamp first this Aqua Mist. Now I am spritzing this each time that I stamp it, and that's one of the reasons why I'm using Bristol paper. Not only does it accept a little bit of water, but it also gives a really nice white background. So each time you see me kind of hold out that stamp, it's because I'm spritzing it. I'm spritzing it about an arm's length. I don't want to get too close, otherwise it gets way too puddly and you lose some definition. So now this is on to the New Leaf. And then I'm also going to be using the Spring Moss just to add a little bit of color variation. And just stamp these here and there, not making it totally saturated, but filling in this background nicely. Now you can see here I'm using ripe avocado with the small leaf, and I'm stamping it off on the glass mat first and then onto the background, and I'm doing that just so that it's diluted a little bit. I like it better than stamping it off on a piece of paper that dilutes it more than I wanted. And I'm just going to fill in a little more with this small leaf. And I just was doing a hint of the ripe avocado. And then using these 4 colors. And then once that's done, we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to take a piece of white heavy cardstock, and I'm going to cut out all of the bird, and I am going to separate that. Right now I just put that up there, and then I'm that frame and the branch, as well as a bunch of leaves. So here's the frame, the leaves, we have the background, and I also cut out the bird, and I'm going to carefully take these pieces and take them apart. I am going to leave the beak, the feet, and the eye all in place because I want to be able to color those later, and when they get really tiny like that, it's kind of hard to do that. So you can cut this wonderful bird out with colored paper, and that works out swimmingly. But since I haven't used my Copic markers in just forever, I decided to use to use these to color them. I'm going to start out with some warm grays and some cool grays. So those are the W series and the C series of Copic markers. And I'm just going to color first the tail feathers. I'll also be coloring the wing the same way. And then we'll use little bits of it here and there as we go along of these grays and warm grays, just to add mostly shadow. Now don't feel too intimidated by this coloring because it's really quite simple. You don't have to get real elaborate with it. I kind of use a little bit of a dotting technique to it, mostly because I want to have kind of a mottled look. And I also want this bird to work nicely with the background. So I am going to be using a lot of the PG colors. And you can see I'm leaving those lid tops there so you can see just exactly what color I am using at any time. You can also, if you want to write them down, you can always stop the video and write them down and then go on. I'm using a little bit of Y38 for some bits of orange and the Y0000 for part of the body of it. And I'm just going to color along these edges and into the key areas, like around the neck, kind of defining that. And that piece that you can see, there's that piece that kind of covers over the eye and creates part of the bird. We'll add, there's adding a little bit of gray. I've left all the coloring in just so that you can see how it all came together. But you can do it any way that you would like. And you can use any medium you'd like. This would be fabulous if you watercolored it, for instance. Or like I say, just cutting it in with different colors of colored paper would work out really nicely too. Now, we're going to go on with this bird and just kind of add in a little bit more of the detailing, a little bit. I like a little bit of that smattering of orange and also the yellow to kind of blend it out, especially around the eye and head area. Now I'm going to color those little feet, the beak, and the eye. And it works out really great if you leave them in with the paper that you cut it with, so that you have you're not trying to chase around these little itty bitty bits. It's so much easier. Now there's kind of there's the piece of the underbelly of the bird. So I'm just going to use just a little bit of grays there for that. Leaving most of it white. I want to leave lots of white area for the bird. So I've added that piece for the head area, and then I'm going to add on the beak. And then we're going to go on to adding, put that little beak back in its little place. And then I'm going to add the eye. And that was an easy way to do it. Just put a drop of glue and then push the eye right on it directly from the paper that you had it cut from. And then add the little feet. We're going to add the wing and the underbelly. And then we're going to be all done with the bird. Except for, of course, I can never leave it quite alone. And I always go back and just add little touches here and there, just adding a little bit more of the shadow of it. So now that that is going to be all completed here very soon, once I stop fiddling with all these colors, we're going to go on and I'm going to add this frame. Now this frame is a little bit smaller than the background, and I did that because I wanted to have the background extend past the border. I'm really wanting to create that tree kind of feeling to this. That's what I like so much about this Stampin' Die set. And at the same time, I'm going to kind of position the branch and the bird just for a minute. I'm not going to glue it down. I'm just getting an idea where I want to have it because I want to put the sentiment there. I'm going to use My Dear Friend, which I've mounted into my stamp positioner. I'm going to use a piece of acetate and stamp it just to make sure I got it in the right place. And kind of if I want that color too, I'm using ripe avocado, and it seems like that's working out just right. So I took away the acetate and I'm stamping it. Now I have that border on there, and so you want to be real careful to kind of wipe around the edges and not have any of that remaining so it doesn't stamp onto the border. Now with that done, we're going to put this together. I have an Aqua Mist card base and then a Simply Chartreuse card panel that's a little bit smaller than the card base front. And then the background stamp, the panel that we made with the background stamp is just a little bit smaller yet. So we're creating kind of that matte look to it. So we've like matting a picture frame. Then we're going to go on to adding the leaves and the bird. The bird I'm going to add with a little bit of foam tape, but the rest of these I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue. Put that in the right position. And then I'm going to go on to adding some leaves. And I have a bunch cut here. Like always, I cut more than I need. And I started adding these leaves thinking that I wanted a whole bunch of them. But in the end, I decided to go a little bit simpler so not to block the background as much. So I took away a few of these leaves. And you'll see that in this close-up coming up. So here you see I've taken away a few of the leaves, left it a little simpler, and it really, I just love the bird. I have bird feeders all over my garden, and so I'm in love with birds, so this was just perfect for me. I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I did. I just love this new stamp and die set. You'll have to check out all the many more things that are in the new release. But here is a short list of some of the products that I use, but you can pop over to the blog, which is blog.inktopaper.com, and there will be a more complete list as well as some close-ups. And also, don't forget there's oodles more inspiration there on the blog. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.